Recently, in Indiana, 17-year-old Anthony Conley strangled and killed his 10-year-old brother Connor and dumped him in the river. He told authorities that he did it because of a craving he developed from watching the TV show Dexter. Dexter is a show that follows a character who leads a double life. In the morning, he acts as a cop, and in the evening, he turns into a serial killer who kills criminals. The show glorifies his killing because he's killing criminals, so they show that it's okay. Anthony told his girlfriend that he wanted to live a double life like Dexter. The show influenced the criminal act that eventually led to his brother's death. Although this is an extreme case, according to the American Psychiatric Association, the debate is over. For the last 3 decades, the one predominant finding in research on the mass media is that exposure to media portrayals of violence increases aggressive behavior in children. The issue of TV influencing our children is becoming widespread for several reasons. One, kids are spending over 4 hours a day in front of the television. This activity is only second to sleeping in the most common activity among children. Research has consistently shown that there are negative effects of TV violence on children, and it's a serious issue that faces parents today when raising their children. Today, I'm going to discuss 2 reasons that TV violence has negative impacts on children, and I'm going to offer solutions encouraging parents to monitor their children's TV viewing and to educate them on the differences between real life and fantasy. The first negative impact of TV violence on children is that they portray it as real life. That children learn to emulate the behavior that they see on television. For example, in 1999, a 7-year-old boy in Dallas killed his brother by performing a clothesline maneuver on him that he learned while watching wrestling. Another story, a child lit his house on fire after seeing a similar event on an episode of Beavis and Butthead. One research study I found, done by Bandera and Ross, showed a group of children. They were placed in front of a TV, and they showed a little girl beating and kicking a doll. Another group of children were shown a different videotape where the little girl played tea party with her doll. They then put each child in the room with the doll that looked exactly like the one the little girl played with, and those who saw the violence show played with the doll by kicking, beating, and abusing it, and those who saw the tea party chose to emulate the child's behavior and play tea party with the doll. Children emulate what they see, and children younger than 8 are not capable of discriminating between real life and fantasy and entertainment. They quickly learn that violence is an acceptable solution to resolving even complex problems, particularly if the aggressor is a hero. This leads us into the second negative effect of TV violence, which is they become immune and actually accept violence as a proper method of problem solving. One story, a 16-year-old named Daniel Petrick killed his parents over not being allowed to play Halo 3. A year before the murder, he was in a snowboarding accident, and he developed a serious staph infection and he became homebound. His mother said that while he was homebound, he spent the entire year watching TV and playing violent video games. He learned from watching those television shows and playing violent video games that violence was an acceptable solution to his problem, which in this case was not being allowed to play another violent video game. Another issue is that the violence on TV lacks consequences. Most of the violent acts go unpunished and even are glorified. For example, Superman and Batman, they are heroes because they protect their cities from violence, but they actually use violence as a method of preventing violence. So kids think that the end justifies the means and that it's okay. Kids are becoming immune to violence. It's desensitized. One study from the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry states, repeated exposure to TV violence can ultimately cause children to become desensitized to it. As a result, they gradually accept that violence is a way to solve issues. They identify with the characters and they act aggressively as they imitate violence seen on TV. Another statistic from American Psychiatric Association states that by age 18, children have seen 16,000 simulated murders and over 200,000 acts of violence on television. The more children are exposed to something, the less horrible and wrong it seems because it just becomes commonplace. It's normal. It happens all the time. So how do we stop the problem? What's the solution? While TV violence is definitely not the only cause of aggressive or violent behavior, it's been proven that it's a significant factor. Parents can protect children from excessive TV violence in the following ways. First, monitor your children's viewing. Know what they're watching on television. Be aware of the shows that they're watching. Secondly, limit your child's daily TV viewing. I recommend taking televisions out of children's rooms and not allowing them to spend all day after school sitting in front of the television. Discuss what you see on TV with your children. If they see something violent, use it as a teachable moment to show your children that this is not real life and teach them to separate the reality from the fantasy of television. Fourth, refuse to let your children see any videos that are known to be violent. If your children want to see a rated R or PG-13 movie, watch it first before you let them see it. Hopefully, I've convinced you that TV violence is a real issue that needs to be addressed when raising children of all ages. It is imperative that you understand the potential effects of exposure to violence and take them seriously. Children must be taught to differentiate between reality and fantasy. So I urge parents to be aware of what your children are watching and use every opportunity you can to educate them on the difference between real life and make-believe.